This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
December 5th, 2023, at a few minutes after 6 o'clock. And could we please stand and say the pledge of allegiance? The flag is over there.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So we have Joy Piper won't be with us tonight, and John should be coming, but we have a quorum. And given that we have a pretty full agenda before the special town meeting, I think I'm going to go ahead and hopefully he will come in. We have, I think, a major first item, but first of all, is there any open time for the public? Anybody here for anything that is not on the agenda tonight? Okay. Otherwise, we will move into a public hearing for the tax rate classification, and this is a reconvene.
You actually gotta wait 2 minutes.
I do? Oh, you like to
It's just 6:05.
I'm sorry, I thought it was 6:05. I'm sorry, excuse me. Oh, wait, 6:05?
We almost got
6:05. Oh, wait a minute. Given that it's supposed to start at 6:05.
Chris, while we're waiting, we'll call the Board of Assessors meeting to order. Yeah.
The O's are so close to the pot to boil. Okay.
Okay, here we are at 6:05. All right. So we are going to reconvene the tax rate classification public hearing for FY24. We continued this from the last meeting. And at the same time, we have members of our Board of Assessors and our interim principal assessor here who've called their meeting to order. So with that, I'm going to open it up to anybody from the assessors who would like to speak to us about the tax classification hearing and some of the additional information. You can kind of just do a brief summary if you want from what we had seen last time, but I know you've provided additional information, so I think that's what we'd like to hear. So just come on up closer here a little bit. Yeah. Good.
It's here. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So as we've done this a million times before, the select board has several options in distributing the tax levy among taxpayers among property tax classification. The purpose tonight is to vote on single tax rate and a few other exemptions. The Board of Assessors recommends a single tax rate. Generally, it's typically recommended that communities have at least commercial base of at least 20% for a split tax rate. As you can see, Southampton only has about 6% for commercial, industrial, and personal property. So the Board of Assessors recommends that a single tax rate be adopted. I don't think the town has ever gone with a split tax rate. And I've checked the numbers surrounding towns. Easthampton, Have, and Northampton all have a single tax rate, and they have, I think, more commercial base than we do. Adoption of an open space discount. The town of Southampton has no property that meets the definition of open space. Therefore, there are no properties in this class to adopt an open space discount for. Residential exemption. Only 16 of the 351 communities in Massachusetts currently adopted the residential exemption. They tend to be communities with a large number of apartment buildings or a large number of second homes. Again, Southampton doesn't have that kind of a base, so it is recommended that no residential exemption be granted. And that is separate from the individual personal exemptions for taxpayers. And adoption of the small commercial exemption. only 14 of the 351 communities in Massachusetts currently have adopted the small commercial exemption. Again, we don't have the commercial base to really to vote for that, so the assessors recommend that no small commercial exemption be given.
Good, okay. So we had heard most of that information, I think, the last time, and then
Yeah.
we'd asked for some additional information, and that's the spreadsheet that you've now provided.
Yeah, so let me kind of pull it up. If you were to do a split tax rate, you could do a shift of 1.5% maximum.
And just to be clear, we do not know yet, we don't have any financial information from the closing out of our FY23 funds to know what our tax rate will be.
Right.
At this point in time, we're just talking in terms of percentages of whatever that tax rate would be, correct?
Right. So for an example, at the maximum 1.5 split, the tax rates, for example, would be $13.20 for residential and $20.46 for commercial. And you can, there's different, they go down as we go down the percentages.
And show us where you're coming up with the 13, the single tax rate, is our current tax rate is 13?
1364. This information, basically, there's a scenario on the DLS Gateway, which is the Department of Revenue. You enter in the levy limit and then the values for from the LA4, the residential, commercial values, and then it kind of tells you, okay, here's what your splits would be at these percentages. So like at 1.25%, just my right line here. Oops, at 1.25%, the tax rate, for example, would be $13.42 for residential and $17.05 for commercial. So, again, we've never gone with a single tax rate. It's we've never gone with a split tax rate. It's recommended that communities have at least a 20% commercial base. Wilbraham, Northampton, Hadley, Easthampton, South Hadley, Granby, Ludlow, and Williamsburg all have single tax rates with a much larger commercial base.
All right. Anyone have questions?
So, not necessarily questions, more comments. So the average single property tax value in Southampton, according to the DOR, is $392,664,000. You divide that by $1,000 or 1,000, you come up to calculate someone's property taxes, $392.66. If we were to do the maximum deviation of 40 cents, right, of the 1.5, it's 40 cents.
Right.
Right. So that would be relief to the residential property tax owner of $157. And I guess that's more my thing, is actually putting numbers out there other than a comment from somebody who, under their signature, says they're a real estate agent, says we shouldn't do the shift. What are the real numbers? And the real numbers are, if we did the maximum deviation, which I'm not suggesting we do, but if we did, that equates to $157 savings to the residential tax owners, which then we would shift over to the commercial. And if I look at a commercial base in Southampton, I don't see Big Y leaving because of that. And we have such a limited commercial base. And I think in the next few years that go by, we're going to be asking the residential taxpayers to pay for a council on aging, to pay for a public safety building, to possibly pay for an expansion or modification of the elementary school, that we should at least put the real figures out there. And people say, well, why don't you shift? Okay, if we did shift, it's $157. That's the real number versus...
And for the businesses, it would be
You'd have to do the opposite, which I did not do. Because the DLS only publishes the average single-family tax rate. But it's written the real numbers out there to the public, so.
And am I correct in saying that if we were to go for a split rate for the first time, I mean, once we go to a split rate, we never go back to a single rate, do we?
No, I think every year.
I mean,
we have
every year it
to
comes
do
up, I know,
this.
but the likelihood, if we decided to go down the path of a split rate, I think it would be pretty unlikely for us to come back to a single rate, would be
Yeah.
my assumption.
I would say that the probability would be extremely low.
Okay.
But you could do it.
Okay.
But the probability is low.
Got it.
Yeah. My other issue is that we're sitting, today is December 5th, and the tax bills, the treasurer's not here tonight, but I'm assuming she needs at least a week or 2 weeks' time to go to print,
Yes.
right? So the fact that we don't know what our tax rate is right now is probably the bigger alarm.
Well, some of the information from tonight's votes will actually affect that a little bit. But I expect that all that information will be entered and ready to go for DLS approval by the end of this week.
And by tonight's vote, do you mean this particular vote?
No, some
Right,
of the
this
other-
one doesn't have any impact on it.
This doesn't
Right.
have any impact, but some of the other items on the warrant do. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we have to vote,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes.
It does have a little bit of impact because if you
Yeah.
voted to
Right.
do a split rather than.
No, we would want to take
It
the
would
vote
affect-
tonight. So
It would affect the tax rate, but
Right.
again, my whole point is transparency.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and if, whether we do a split rate or don't do a split rate, and I'm not saying I disagree with what the assessors are saying, that we should not do it. I just think it's better to say, here are the numbers, and if we did go to the maximum deviation, we're talking about $157. So now you divide that over 365 days, you're talking about 50 cents a day to the homeowner. That's a real number versus a number they don't know. Well, yeah, but if we shifted the burden hypothetically, then we could potentially save $4,000 on my property tax. Well, no, that's not true. The real number is 157.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess that's my point.
Okay.
That was my objection the other
Okay.
night.
Okay. All right.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
Darcy Gasparini,
Yeah.
Chair of Board of Assessors. I just want to, first of all, we can't give you an exact number because we don't know yet what the tax rate, what numbers we need to get the tax rate off. So we don't have a firm number we can even give the people. And secondly, it does need to be voted from what Jen said. She needs to have everything to wherever she needs to send it by the 15th. Ed probably knows this. So if we put the vote off and,
Yeah. No, we're.
you know, maybe next.
Oh, no, I'm not,
We're
I'm
gonna
sorry.
vote
I'm
tonight.
not-
No, we're voting tonight.
I'm not suggesting put the vote off.
Yeah.
I'm just saying in other communities, the assessor's hearing
Yeah.
usually says, this is the rate, and here's your deviation, and these are the real numbers.
Yeah.
Here, we're saying, we don't know what the rate is, because we haven't gotten there yet, because we, not the assessors, we have failed in city government to get you what you need to have in time for this hearing. But still, tax bills have to go out in the next week or so in order to collect.
Well, and I think, point taken, we understand that next year we'll have a more detailed report now that we understand what you're looking for. This is what we've
Yeah.
used
Yeah,
as far back as.
This is what I do 2 other communities, and we usually do. This is actually more detailed than what I even do for my other communities, so.
But we can
Yeah.
definitely
No, and I think
next
it-
year and have those figures.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think, if we have assurance, I know you've been working with Bradley and Jen to see where they are with all the final closing of the books and so forth, and it sounds like they are imminently close from what you told me over.
Yeah, this one's even closer.
Yeah.
That was up there today with Bradley, so.
Yeah.
I would say if we wanted to have the full picture, and you're doing something different for next year, we also want to show the commercial side of it as well, right? You understand the impact to the residential now, it's around $150, as we're saying. But how does that impact our commercial businesses?
Well, it's because we have such a small commercial base, but basically coming up with what the average single tax bill is, well, that's the total
Yeah.
divided by how many single families we have. But the commercial, you know, we've got one big Y and then nothing else like it. So it's like they're going to be affected more. They could probably afford it better than, say,
Smaller.
the
Mom and pop shop.
mom and pop shop, the hairdresser or whatever. So.
Yeah, okay. All right, so if nobody has any objections, are we
I'm
ready to close the hearing? Or do you have
But I'd
questions?
like
I'm
to
sorry.
thank
Yeah.
John for helping translate
Mhm.
a great deal of data, no problem with the analysis, into something that the public can understand.
Mhm.
Frankly, that I, as a member of the select board, can understand. What's the real impact? Would we achieve enough to go down this road?
Mhm.
I'm ready for your question.
Okay,
Thank you.
I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Can we have a vote, please, all in favor?
Is there a second?
Sorry, second, sorry. Second, I'm hearing seconds in my head. Stephen, second, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion is passed, and the public hearing is closed, and now we need a...
I'll make a motion to
Motion?
move the select board to vote in accordance with MGL Chapter 46, Section 56, as amended the percentage of local tax levy, which will be borne by each class of real and personal property relative to setting the fiscal year 2024 tax rates, and set the residential factor at a 1.0 with a corresponding CIP shift of 1.0 pending approval of the town's annual tax recap by the Massachusetts Department of Revenue. Second.
Okay, motion by John, second by Stephen. Any questions, any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes, and we have our single tax rate. Thank you. Thank you to the assessors.
Thank you for providing that.
Yep, much appreciated. Okay, let us move on. We're gonna hop down quickly. Maybe, Ed, do you have anything on the town administrative report that you'd like to share quickly?
No, I actually didn't. It was such a packed
Tax schedule? I know.
schedule. I believe it's a fair one. Like I say, I expect that the tax recap will be completed by the end of this week and submitted to DOR. I am anticipating the next week to 10 days. The 2023 will be closed.
Okay, good. Anybody have anything from your various committee meetings of great input that you'd like to share, or anything that's happened over the last couple of weeks?
We'll know after tomorrow.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe later, yeah. So next meeting perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And nothing at this point too from the grant committee, so we'll keep on moving. So next on the agenda, we have some appointments and resignations. And maybe John, if you'd like to take.
If I could, as everyone's aware, we have appointed or created a 5-person fire chief search committee. We have appointed or confirmed 3 individuals, myself as the select board liaison, Chief Illingsworth as the department head selection, and retired fire chief John Pond as the expertise. And we have 2 openings. I'm happy to put forward recommendation to appoint both Greg Mack and Ben Hogan of Southampton, both of Southampton, to fill the other 2 vacancies, term until March 1st of 2024, or completed if before then. And I believe Greg's letter is enclosed in our packet, as well in application, as well as Ben's letter of resume.
Right.
Yes, we did have an application, but it's been sitting around so long, it was not in the back, and it got misplaced.
Other than these 2 people?
No.
These
Ben
two.
Hogan.
These two, yeah.
Ben had submitted a full package.
Okay.
And I would recommend the select board confirm their appointments so that the committee can meet.
Second.
All right. Just a bit of information for those that are listening and watching. So just from Greg's letter, just a quick
Yep.
summary. Greg has lived in town his entire life, has been on multiple boards and committees, is currently on the Park Commission, and is very involved in sports with his 2 young kids. And Ben Hogan has been, or is currently, on the Westfield Fire Department as an EMT paramedic. Let's see, he's been doing that since 2015, so he's definitely.
And I
got some
believe
experience.
previously Ben was involved with the Southampton Fire Department, so he
Okay.
has some internal knowledge.
Great. Okay, so with that, could I have I think we have a motion and a second. All right, all those in favor of the appointments of Greg Mack and Ben Hogan to the Fire Chief Search Committee?
Aye.
Aye, okay, motion passes, thank you. And we have one more. I'll take it up if you like. This is for Charles Fisher for the Historical Commission, term until June 30th, 2025. For those who may or may not know, Charles, known as Charlie Fisher, is a native 8th generation descendant of one of the Southampton's original settlers. He's probably one of the few in town that can actually say that. He's been very involved in historical issues around town. Way back in the 1940s, he was on the town's highway department. And in the 50s and 60s, he was working as a logger in the on Palmer Meadow Road. There used to be a milling operation up there. He has owned and restored and lived in 3 old houses of Southampton. And in the 60s, he actually was a chairman of the Board of Assessors. So he has been basically very, very involved over the years. And even though he's sort of put some of his public committee life behind him, perhaps, we're calling him back up for duty, and he's graciously accepted to do that. So I will make a motion to appoint Charles Fisher to the Historical Commission, term to expire June 30th, 2025.
Second?
Okay, second by Steve, by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. All right, next. Let us pick up the town meeting warrant and understand what we're doing with that before we get into some of this other business. So we have on the list here, if you look at the table of contents, we started out with 20 articles. However, given that we do not have the free cash certified, Articles 8, 9, 10, and 11 will not be.
Ask for no action.
And we will ask, or the moderator will ask for no action?
No action taken, yes.
Who will-
That'd be a motion to say we motioned no action be
Okay,
taken.
and can we do them as a group, or?
Somebody second. I'd rather we do it individually.
Individually,
There's
okay.
something called a consent agenda, which would work. We
Okay.
never introduced that,
That's
so
fine.
that's not
So-
the time.
So under discussion, that creates a problem, specifically related to Article 8, I think. Would it be, if I set 8 aside for a moment, could we not pass 9, 10, 11 by percentage? Because we have a standing policy that says it's a percentage of whatever free cash is. Could we, instead of putting a dollar amount in there, amend the motions to say it's a percentage of 10% or 25, whatever it is? Because otherwise, short of that, if we take no action, we have to hold another meeting in order to do something with free cash.
Correct. But you could do that like we did last year at the annual town meeting. You just put them up front before you expend any articles on capital stabilization, operating stabilization.
So I guess I'm wondering, talking out loud, does that create an issue for us down the road where if we were to pass them, instead of take no action, if on 9, 10, 11, we assign their percentages. So once free cash got certified, then that vote would come in and say it's 25, 30%, whatever, and then we would know what was left to spend.
You would need a dollar, sir.
Okay.
You basically we already have a policy that states those percentages, but the dollar amount needs to be voted by town meeting. The actual dollar amount.
Yeah, in the actual articles themselves, it is an exact dollar amount in there.
Correct. But so.
How is this going to impact number 8, which is your question about the school, I'm sure, right?
Right, we need to put the money back into that stabilization account so it doesn't get lost.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we?
You can do,
Go ahead.
if you had a special town meeting between now and May,
Yep.
you could do it then. Or you could do it the same way at the annual town meeting, just again, put that up front before any expenditure pieces from the stabilization accounts. So theoretically, you could actually, that one you can take this article, the summary, and the motion, and insert it in the annual town meeting warrant.
Yeah.
9, 10, and 11, you would basically take your certified free cash, subtract the dollar amount from 8, and then take 30, 35, and 10%, at least from those. And if you do it at the annual town meeting, I would make sure that you actually, either through other articles or those 3, actually appropriate all of your free cash. Otherwise, it's going to go disappear in basically 35 days.
Yep.
On June 30th.
And then, do any of the other articles, no, let me rephrase this. None of the other 20 articles rely on free cash for the funding source.
No, they do not.
Right.
So what's the bigger picture about free cash?
Because we don't have the
We have a
books
close
closed.
23.
Books have to be
Yes.
closed. You need-
Okay.
And Treasury state has to certify.
Okay.
So I guess the question is, when do we anticipate it being closed? Or when do we anticipate getting free cash certified? January, February, March?
Well, we anticipate closing the books in the next 10 days or so. At that point, we can do the submittal for free cash along with everything else. So it can sit there at that point in time until special town meeting or the town meeting.
But from the state, their response to us in terms of the amount of free cash.
They certify, they do this DLS as a certification.
But how quickly might they do that? And I think that was your question. Would that be before the end of December realistically, or more like January, depending on when we get this in with holidays and whatever?
Because of the fact of everyone looking for the calculations and tax rates, I would say the higher probability is into at least the beginning of January.
And to be clear, failure to get free cash certified will not impede our ability to set the tax rate.
No, it will not.
Okay, so with that, that leaves us then 16 articles. Given that we are 4 people tonight, and I'm not sure how the mics are going to be set up, but to sort of make this move a little bit quickly, I was just going to propose that... No. I was going to propose we just take 2 at a time each. So if I took 1 and 2, whoever's sitting next to me, Dan,
Okay,
maybe?
I'm next.
So you're moving down the table from where you usually sit, so you'd probably be next to me.
Okay.
3 and 4, Dan. 5 and 6, Stephen. 7, and then we'll skip down to 12.
Yep.
John.
Yep.
13 and 14 would be back to me.
Who did 7?
John.
I've got 7 and 12.
7 and 12 is John.
Okay.
I'll take 13 and 14. Dan will have 15 and 16.
You're going through this one. Who's got 13?
Me.
That's Chris.
13 and 14. Dan would have 15 and 16. Stephen 17 and 18. And John 19 and 20. How's that work?
Sure.
All right, I'm new here. What do I just read this out?
Okay, so yeah.
No,
I'll-
no, the
explain to-
motion.
Yeah,
Motion.
the motion. So when you look at the page, and so Robert will call for the motion, basically, and you're just reading the motion part. Okay? Thank you. And we just start out with, Mr. Moderator, I move that. I think that works.
Good.
And usually what will happen is probably easier too. So whoever makes the motion, somebody, I mean, usually the person sitting next to him would be the logical one to second it, but doesn't matter. I mean, and as long as somebody seconds it, okay? But just keep it moving as well as we can, I think. Just write those down for myself. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about any of these? That, language is funny or anything? You've got. Hopefully you've had time to read through them and you've got a sense of the wording.
No, only the,
Yeah. So the one,
one question I,
Yes.
go ahead, Steve.
I'm at Article 5, and the motion seems to invite the moderator to participate. Move that the town transfer the sum, simple majority. The recommendation is Finance Committee
Oh, yeah.
recommends, and the last moderator to split this into 2 articles then,
You would-
where the motion is.
So how do we do that?
The person would read the motion. The moderator, well, finance would probably ask the moderator at that point in time to split it into two different articles. And it's up to the moderator to split it at that point in time.
So as, Stephen, is that you?
It's a
Yeah.
pass off
Right,
to the.
you're number
finance.
5?
Yeah.
Right, so as you're reading the motion, finance should go to the mic to be the first one to ask the
Yeah,
moderator to
we'll
divide
read
the
the motion,
question.
then I'll make, and second it, and then I'll make the announcement that I'm dividing the question, that's it. And then we'll
Will you do that automatically, or do you want finance to approach
no,
the mic and
I'll
ask
do
you?
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll follow your lead here.
All right.
I think on one, so just the other one,
Excuse me,
Yes.
if finance does it, then we have to vote to do it. If the moderator does it, we don't have to vote to do it.
Right. And I believe the spokesman for finance is right next to you, to make sure that you're on the same page.
We're on the same page.
All right.
all right, good. And just clarity, maybe on the community preservation ones, I think, Jan, you've got the,
I had to announce
I've got
it.
the same.
you've got the first one, and Stephen's got the second one. So in this motion, we are reading all of this B, C, and D, all this, the complete language here, right?
Yep.
The whole
Correct.
thing. So
The whole
it's a fair
thing.
amount to read, but just read slowly and clearly so that people can hear you, and that should be fine.
But quickly, so it doesn't.
Well,
delay
no,
the
but
vote.
That's so key because
Yeah.
Mumble.
you lose people
Yeah.
in 15 seconds.
Right, yeah, so just,
Hey,
you know, just take your time and get through it, okay?
Who's the no action person? The ones that say no action? The one we have to say?
Oh, yeah, when
Yeah,
Article
well,
8 comes
I'll
up.
probably, I can make
That's
a
a
motion
big-
on each of those four if you want to do that.
Well, it's in between me.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I have 7 and 12. Do you want me to
Sure,
say?
yeah, yeah,
So
what-
rather,
yeah.
We recommend no action.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
one by one though.
Okay. Yep.
Okay,
Bonus.
perfect,
Yeah.
thank you.
Get me some votes at the ballot box.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, everybody clear on how we're proceeding with that? All right.
Kristen.
Very good. All right, so next we have a couple of things that we have to go through and sign. We have, first of all, the impact bargaining agreement with the police union. And I'll let Ed go through that. It's in your package. We have the police union one.
Yes, it is.
Please to formalize what we already.
Yes, this is what we've done in executive
Previously
session.
voted in executive session, so you'll have to also vote and sign these in open session. So for the impact bargaining memorandum of understanding due to the change of duties from going to a local to a regional dispatch, I'll just summarize the changes. For wages for the police union, step scales and pay rates for full-time and part-time police officers shall increase in the following increments. Patrol officers, $3.50 increase to current fiscal year 24 step increments in part-time police officer wages. Sergeants, $5 increase to current fiscal year 24 step increments. Lieutenants, $7.50 increase to current fiscal year 24 step increments. Officer in charge shall be amended to the following: in the absence of the chief or ranking officer, the senior full-time patrol officer shall assume the status of the officer in charge and shall receive an additional 5% per hour over and above the officer's normal hourly rate for each hour such officer acts in that capacity. In the absence of a full-time police officer, the senior post-certified part-time officer shall assume the status of the officer in charge and shall receive an additional 5% per hour over and above the officer's normal hourly rate for each hour such officer acts in that capacity. Signatories of memorandum of understanding between the town of Southampton and the Southampton police officers, Local 130.
Could we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to discussion.
We have a second?
Second.
Second by Stephen. Discussion?
Under discussion, I would just like an affirmation from the department head that he's in favor of this.
Yeah, yes, I am.
Was there a second?
Stephen,
Stephen.
second? Okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes unanimously. All right, and then next is the impact bargaining agreement with the telecommunications Dispatch.
Each one has to
Union?
sign. Yeah. So, let's see.
Okay, so the summation would be Article 27, group insurance. All remaining full-time employed dispatchers employed at the time of separation shall be entitled to the town's group health insurance for a period of 90 days. Completion bonus. All dispatchers employed at the time of separation shall be provided with a completion bonus in accordance with the following scale based on years of service as a dispatcher: 20 or more years of service, $5,000; 15 to 19 years of service, $4,000; 10 to 14 years of service, $3,000; 5 to 9 years of service, $2,000; 4 years of service or less, $1,000. In lieu of the completion bonus, Dispatcher Kelly may negotiate her completion bonus into her hourly rate if she applies for, is offered, and accepts the full-time shared police and fire department shared administrative assistant position. If such position is offered and accepted to Dispatcher Kelly, she shall be placed at grade 4, step 11. The non-union pay scale for fiscal year '24, and she'll retain her existing current accrued vacation time, 224 hours for the year.
Motion to approve, subject to discussion.
Second.
Okay, motion by John, second by Stephen. Discussion, please.
Same question. Department head approve?
I do.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Next one up is bargaining agreement with the police chief. Contract approval and signing. Do you want to make this? Oh, you don't. Okay.
Okay. Due to similar changes caused in the police union contract, negotiations were entered into to amend the police chief's contract. Compensation, the police chief's annual compensation for fiscal year '24 shall increase to the sum of $140,125.20. This increase shall not be retroactive and shall commence on a prorated basis after the first pay period upon signing. Additionally, the conditions of the agreement previously commencing on May 5th of each year shall change to July 1st of each year to coordinate with the fiscal year process, and the contract period shall be extended until June 30th, 2025.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second by Stephen. Okay. Any discussion?
Chief approved.
Aye. I suspect he does.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. I'm going to assume we don't really need a Mountain Waters update because that's on the agenda for tonight.
Nothing you will go here later.
Okay, that's kind of what I figured. Public Safety Building Committee update, anything, Ed, there? Any further contact with landowners or anything?
No, because one of them was on vacation last week and has returned this week, so now we can, shall we say, continue the negotiations.
Okay. Just a second. All right. Dispatch Regional MOU update.
I move that we acknowledge receipt of it and we table it to our next formal meeting.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Any discussion about that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, very good. Motion passes. Okay. Classification compensation study update.
It is still proceeding. Check later this week on what, when they will be starting the next steps of talking to the department heads.
All right. Fire chief search update?
We're on schedule to have the final charge for our next regular meeting.
Okay.
To act upon.
Good. Any questions, anybody? All right. TA search update. So I do have a little bit of information and we do need some scheduling. It looks like from Community Paradigm, we've got at least 2, possibly 3, but 2 for sure candidates for the town administrator position. These are not known in terms of their details by me yet. These are all within the hands of Community Paradigm. What is being proposed, I had asked that we save a time frame on December 12th. What I would like to propose is that we have a Zoom meeting only for this purpose of revealing who the candidates are, getting from Community Paradigm to tell us a bit more of the process they went through, the interviews they went through, some background information. They will have done the background checks as well at that time. So they would basically reveal who the candidates are. We would have paper copies to look at, but not have any time to do anything that evening. So just to basically propose that we do a 6 o'clock meeting on the 12th by Zoom for all of us, and Mr. Lynch from Community Paradigm.
So this is a Zoom with Paradigm. So
With Paradigm.
will we all be in person at Town Hall, and they'll Zoom in, or are we all Zooming for our
We could
residents?
be, I think we can all be Zooming from home, actually. I would think we could be. Once I get the link, that should work. Because, yeah, that should work.
Just remember, somebody's going to have to act as host and let people in and out of the meeting.
Right, but you can do that from home now.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
What was the date?
The 12th, on next Tuesday at 6. And then assuming that we've got, he was hoping to give us information in written form, the resumes and so forth, on actually Monday the 11th if he can. But would like to suggest that perhaps we schedule then an in-person meeting on the 14th, which is Thursday, for actually interviews. And again, the only topic would be interviews of these 2 people, or maybe 3 people, probably 2. And that way we would have a decision that we could possibly take on the 19th. So the interviews could be done on the 14th, Thursday, and then have time to sort of mull that over a bit, and then come back again on the 19th, our regular meeting, and have a decision.
So we would have a public meeting on Tuesday where they would publicly release the names of the individuals.
Right.
48 hours later,
We'd be doing
we
interviews.
interview
Right. And Community Paradigm will,
question 2 or 3, however
correct.
many number there are.
Community Paradigm will help us with the interview questions. They will have given us a guide for that.
So do we have to have a meeting on Tuesday? Can't they just,
Well, it doesn't-
couldn't we just publicly release it? If we're not going to engage in conversation,
Well, I don't know that we're going to have enough time to, get the resumes on one time and then do the interview right then and there.
no, I'm saying on Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
If we're only having a meeting on Tuesday so they can publicly tell us the 2 names, does that really need to be a meeting? Couldn't they just, as of that date, assuming the individuals sign the releases to allow their names to be released,
Mhm.
that's when it becomes public information, we get it as a packet, and then we meet on Thursday night?
Meeting on Thursday?
If there's not going to be any engagement on us Tuesday night.
There would not be, it would be more, I think it would be probably a half an hour meeting where I think Community Paradigm wanted to present to us the process they went through in terms of the interviewing and the background checks and all those
Okay.
kinds of things, and the candidates that they had, because they had I think about 6 candidates. So I think he wants to kind of just
The
give us that
process.
overview of the
Okay.
process. But then really just reserve Thursday night for interviews if we could do it.
I think it's worthwhile hearing from the search firm
Mhm.
about the marketplace, what
Mhm.
they found in terms of its response to our particular needs
Mhm.
at this time. So
Yeah.
that wouldn't be germane to an
Right.
interview.
Yeah, I think it would take up extra
Now,
time that we
the
might need.
interview,
Mhm.
Thursday the 14th, would just be this at that
Correct.
stage.
Correct. Yeah, or Ed can be there as well, yes. So, and Bernie Lynch would be there as well.
Well, it would be open to the public.
Yeah, but I
They
mean,
just
the
can't
interview questions would be,
participate. Yeah.
we're the interviewers, yes. And so that would be the thing, and I'm thinking maybe 45 minutes per person, so hour and a half meeting kind of thing.
Do we have a list, I'm jumping ahead to Thursday,
Yeah.
possibly where Stephen's going here. Do we have a list of predefined questions?
Not yet, but we will have. We will have.
Can we suggest our own questions?
I think we can also. I think there may be, the way I'm understanding it, there may be some categories of topics to be brought up in an interview. There might be a lead question that Bernie would throw out, and then that leads into follow-up questions. And those are, he's got some suggested follow-up questions, but we don't think we have to stick to those follow-up questions.
Okay.
I just want to appropriately assess something in 45 minutes. I've never interviewed one candidate or anything.
Well,
Picking up on that, what are the stages subsequent to Thursday?
Well,
night?
subsequent, they've gone through all the initial interviews with their panel. So this has been a panel interview already to get to the finalists. They've done the background checks, so they're coming to us with questions. And that's why we didn't want to have to hurry up and make a decision that night, but just sort of, Thursday, and then when we meet again on the following Tuesday, if we still didn't feel like we knew enough, we could, we could
So
go back.
picking up on that background, the panel
Yeah.
is formed, has been
Already
convened
did.
by the search firm, and
Correct.
they are other town administrators or
yeah.
senior level
Correct.
people,
Yeah, I can.
and that's happened.
That is happening.
Yeah, I can say I haven't participated in the town administrator search, but being that we live in Hampshire Regional, I've gone through 3 searches for superintendents. And generally, the night of the interviews, it's expected that at the conclusion of those interviews, there's a public vote to pick one of the candidates.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary. From what I understood from talking to Mr. Lynch, it's not necessary to do that night, that we could go through and then have time to sit back and kind of reflect on it. And we'll come back together in a public meeting on Tuesday the 19th and say, okay, this is our selection.
I happened to participate in one in this particular community where the select board decided that they were going to make the decision that night, and they actually reconvened for a second set of interviews with the 4 candidates. And then please also remember that once you choose a final candidate, you're going to enter into executive session at some point, at some date, to negotiate a contract with that
I just, that's fine, whatever the board wants to do. I think it'll be difficult to take in all the information on Thursday, sit on it until Tuesday, because technically it'd be a violation to talk to anybody.
Well, I think,
Before
after the
Tuesday.
candidates leave, we could certainly have a public
public
chit chat in
session,
terms of
yeah.
our impressions about the interviews.
But hypothetically, what if, without knowing anybody or how it's going to go,
Yeah,
if we were all unanimous
yeah.
on the decision?
I guess we could. So we could. I'll check back with him, but we could certainly reserve the idea that if we felt we were ready on Thursday to make a decision, that we could take it then.
Are any of his Paradigm or the search committee giving us any type of recommendations on it from their interviews? Or?
I don't think they would give us recommendations. They've come up with the top 2. That's their recommendations. They'll have 2, possibly a third, but it sounded like 2 were sure. So
They didn't have
out of the
matrices or anything
they've used their own system to go through and do their scoring and look at backgrounds and experience relevant to what we had asked for. So I'll find out if he has a matrix of any kind.
Yeah.
They have gone through that process and whittled it down to the top candidates.
And if I recall Bernie's words coming back to me, they've also at this point done some level of background.
They have.
references.
We'll know that by Tuesday, actually. When we meet Tuesday, we'll have that. He'll be able to talk to us about that, I think. So let us schedule a Zoom on Tuesday the 12th for, really, I would think, half an hour-ish, 40 minutes at the most, probably, just for Bernie, really. And then on the 14th, we'll do an in-person meeting at Town Hall, same time, 6 o'clock.
Right. So I'm okay with all that, but I'm just thinking Tuesday night, they release it all. The individuals, whether there's 2 or 3 or 17 people, they've all signed releases, so their names can be made public, right, at this point.
Yeah.
We should be prepared Wednesday morning to have those public documents ready, which I'm assuming is their name, their resume.
Yeah, we'll
whether
have
it's
that.
application or
I
not.
think we'll have it that night from Bernie. He will
With-
give us, there's.
But I'm saying within either the town administrator's office or the town clerk's office, to be made available to the public, and then perhaps, as chair, you suggest to the public you have 48 hours to weigh in. So there's that public comment period before we
Yeah.
hold the votes.
Yeah, we should have the paperwork on these candidates that Tuesday, if not Monday. So-
Right, and then hold them
Yeah.
in embargo until the meeting.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it should not be talked about, released before the meeting itself, actually.
Yeah.
So how's the public comment thing getting back to that? They're not participating in giving questions.
No.
The meeting, so how does that feed?
But I don't want to speak for the chair, but I think if you release that stuff 48 hours, if we're going to get it officially on Tuesday night, and we're going to meet on Thursday night, the public has Tuesday night until Thursday when we meet to either email us or show up at public comment period
Yeah.
to talk before the meeting.
We'd have to define that, I guess, that night on Tuesday, and figure out how best to involve people.
Yeah.
I don't have a brilliant thought about it right
And
now.
I guess I'm more concerned about if there is any input, hearing from department heads, at least giving them the opportunity to vent before we take our votes. Right.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
So, given the time, we've got a little bit more to work on here. I think I would recommend that we don't probably have too much to say about old business at this point in
Yeah,
time.
should we skip to the PCF?
Could we go to the PCFs?
I make a motion to approve PCF for veterans, Michelle Murdoch, Veteran Service Officer, part-time, non-benefited, stipend position of $341.10 bi-weekly,
Second.
effective upon passage tonight.
Okay. Motion made by John, seconded by Stephen. Any discussion? This is to replace Jerry Paquette, and she's been filling in for us already. So she knows a little bit about town, and she's met our veterans, so. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, thank you. All right.
Do we need to approve the alcohol licenses?
Let's
Can you
do,
have time?
You can,
I think we've got, I'm thinking we
well,
have to do
you
one
got
by
about,
one.
you got about 5 minutes, so you might want to get in there, so.
We could-
Two things.
Take a recess and come back to
You can
this?
do recess and reconvene after the
Just
special
pick
town
these up?
meeting, or you can put it off and add it into the meeting on the 12th, or do it on the 19th.
So normally there's a packet.
Yeah, it's all in here. We've got the whole package.
Well, the package got sent out.
By email.
I'm trying,
Yeah.
I've tried to
Yeah, they went out by
save
email.
paper
Yeah.
and money.
They went up by
So
email.
it's sent out
Yeah.
electronically. I mean, yes, the packages do sit here for the signing copies to go through.
Yeah, so we could, what's anybody's preference? I was gonna suggest, well, assuming that, I mean, everything in terms of the paperwork, the money that people have to pay for their license, et cetera, has obviously been
I was
verified.
interested in a brief discussion. but
Yeah, okay.
This is not the time.
But we could, I mean, we could just, I don't think it would take us that long to reconvene briefly after the
I'm
time.
fine with that.
I would-
Motion to recess until a time 5 minutes after the special town meeting closes.
Okay. Okay, second by Stephen. Okay, we'll recess. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll in recess at 6:55. Yeah, we're going to reconvene the regular meeting of the Southampton Select Board at about 8:54. And we're going to pick up kind of where we left off, where we have some licenses and permits. And the first set of annual renewals are the common victualler renewals and licenses. And we have, I think I would opt to take these as a group. They're all basically the same. The paperwork was put in the emails to you all. They've put their necessary licenses, their payments, their insurances, everything else that they're supposed to have. And so this list would include, for the common vic licenses renewal, Anytime Nutrition, Bashista Orchards, Big Y World Class Market, Cumberland Farms, Dunkin' Donuts, Good Eats To Go, McKell Coffee Company, Sheldon's Ice Cream, Subway, and Walgreens. I'll make that as a motion that we approve their renewal.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion, any questions about what those all are?
I had a chance to look through them. I have no questions.
Okay, so these are basically establishments that provide food of some sort, right?
And have seating capacity.
And have seating capacity, right. And this is renewal for the year, the calendar year of
Yes.
2024. Okay.
Are there any outstanding enforcement issues, fines, or
No.
performance?
Thank you.
Did I have a second to the motion? Did you second?
I did.
Yeah, somebody
Stephen
did.
did.
Who did
Yeah.
Stephen?
I got
Sorry.
Stephen. I
Perfect.
got
Okay,
Stephen.
I missed it, sorry.
Second.
Okay. All right. All right. I have acknowledged that. So all those in favor? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, perfect. Passes.
Aye.
Very good. I heard you the first time. That could have been something else. Whatever. All right, now the next one is for alcohol and other renewals, alcohol and entertainment ones. What we might do here, do you want to take the alcohol ones together and then the combination alcohol, common vic, entertainment ones together?
You could,
Or-
I would suggest doing it this way. I would actually separate out Glendale Ridge Vineyard only because of the fact that on their entertainment,
No?
they're asking, their current entertainment license goes to 9 p.m.
9 p.m. and they
They're
want
asking, they're asking it to go to 10 p.m., which you probably are going to want to ponder a little bit. I know they don't have a lot of neighbors,
I
but
could
they
do
do
it for my
have.
house sometimes.
Yeah.
Way down there.
You know, so, I mean, I have no objections to it, but
Yeah.
you should just discuss it. But other than
You'd
that,
like a motion?
well,
Just
I would do this. I would suggest to the chair that someone makes the motion to approve, as a group, Country Liquor Store alcohol, Paisano's Restaurant and Pub for all alcohol, common victular, entertainment, coin-op, and non-coin-op. Pure Food Market for, actually it would be a beer and wine and a common victular. Smitty's Package Store for all alcohol. Southampton Beer and Wine for an all alcohol. Southampton Country Club for an all alcohol liquor license, common victular and entertainment license, and Westlake Gourmet for an all alcohol and common victular license.
I would make that motion as modified by town administrator.
Have a second, please? Dan?
Oh,
Yeah.
second, I was just looking for the bingo, or the bowling alley.
None of the above.
So we'll get to that.
It's not, the bowling alley isn't on this list.
Oh.
It'll be on the list for the 19th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. We're on the last one. So we already did
In time for
common
the controversy.
vic. No, we did common vic, and we pulled out the alcohol, and everybody on the on that list we've done except for Glendale Ridge Vineyard for their alcohol, common vic, entertainment, and the only reason we kept it out as a single separate possible motion is that they want to extend their opening or their time frame from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m.
On the entertainment.
on the entertainment side.
Is there any reason not to allow it?
There's always,
Any cost practice or?
that would be certain rules.
My memory is when Opa was there and then JT's. I believe, my memory is that their license was till 10 p.m. Currently, it's approved to 9. Obviously, it's getting into, well, I mean, the only obvious issues are, as you go from 9 to 10, is people that may be putting children to bed or,
Oh,
you know,
I understand that issue.
whatever.
I'm more interested in this business's past practice. Has there been any issue with them adhering to their earlier than otherwise curfew?
No, and actually, from my understanding, while they have one neighbor that is close, that when they have something like a wedding, which may be going later and louder, they actually, shall we say, take care of that neighbor and actually pay for them to have a hotel room.
Well, I mean, that's a but we have other establishments that are permanent until 1 a.m.
Right.
in town.
Are they
Right.
different zones?
Yeah.
Right? So those, like you're talking about, like Paisanos or something, right?
Yeah.
That's different zoning than where Glendale Ridge Vineyard is, right? Because there's
Yeah.
housing.
Paisanos, if they're going to have
Glendale, yeah,
entertainment, it's indoors.
Yeah,
I mean,
indoor, outdoor.
Glendale's, all their, shall we say, venues are outdoors. They may be under tents or whatever, but they're out starting outdoors.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's where Stephen was going, but I tend to follow that logic. I mean, to date, they've been upstanding citizens.
Yes,
They're
absolutely.
asking for a switch to 10.
Yeah.
Do we, if the majority of the body's okay with that, do we put a caveat on it or a restriction on it and say that this is we're concerned about neighborhood complaints and we just want to caution on that, so that this is a 1 year we'll agree to it for 1-year trial, but we'll be monitoring for complaints, something like that.
So they have to renew
Yeah,
every
but we
They have to renew every year anyway.
They have to renew,
It's
yeah.
only a year-long
Yeah, yeah.
license for anybody, any of these things that we've approved. So, yeah, I mean, and looking at the place, I mean, I'm just trying to envision
I mean,
where
I-
their
they own the
residents,
house-
their
the house
own
in front of
residence
it
right
is
there,
there.
and then the horse farm is the next thing down.
yeah.
I don't think there's
Yeah,
much
and-
to the
But
other side.
actually, that being said,
So-
Glendale Ridge is a client of mine, so, and I'm not biased, but I'll refrain from the vote.
Yeah, and, I mean, I wouldn't, let's say, I'm not opposed to this, and I probably recommend that, the select board, try it and see how it
Yeah.
works out.
I mean, if it
I tell
doesn't
you what,
work,
they won't be coming to the town farm. Subdivision permit. And there's no quid pro quo. But tonight, this landowner made a very, very generous and public-spirited commitment to join the town in conserving this resource.
Yeah, but we should focus on that. It's just, that should
But
be-
no, separate issue.
Yep.
And I think we shouldn't come down on this enterprise differently than enterprises in other parts of town.
all right. So I think I'm hearing, basically this will be for the year anyway, and should this come up for renewal, when this comes up for renewal next year, if we've had complaints or issues, then we can take action at that point in time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, it might even be, because I don't think it's in there right now, it might even be a new part of our process, that perhaps when these come up, we should be inquiring of our police chief, for everybody on the list. How many calls for service have you had?
If any.
And do you have, as our
Yeah.
chief public safety, do you
not a bad
have a
idea.
concern?
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Very good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, well, and I'm assuming that, back on Stephen's other question for the common vic ones, I mean, these will have, if they haven't had it already, they will have to have had a board of health inspection, all those kinds of things too. Because they have to have their licenses.
Well, they have that, they have, and I forget what the nomenclature is, but they have the inspection by the building commissioner
Building
and the fire chief
Oh, right, yeah,
every year
in terms
too.
of access and so forth, right.
Talk about Glendale in particular. They do have a lot of road, they have parking on both sides of the road. And they have people, I've gone through there where I would say it's not, because of the way the road curves up and then you come up to where they cross the road, it's not, I would say, the safest place for crossing. So something that I would like to hear the police chief's opinion on, how we ensure the safety of
think
the
they
driver
offer-
and the people crossing the
No,
road.
valid. I think they often have cones out there, though. I don't think there's a policeman there, but there's cones.
Not a policeman, they have their own hired staff sometimes. Sometimes you come around the corner
Yeah.
and people are crossing the road. So,
Okay.
something to consider.
All right, are we ready to vote?
Well, first of all, someone needs to actually make the motion.
Oh, I
and
thought
we
you
need a
sort of-
second. and then we can get there.
Stephen made the motion to accept
As
the
modified.
word, wording to it.
Yep.
Yeah, to keep that as a separate motion for Glendale Ridge, to extend it to 10 PM.
Second?
Oh,
And
And
Dan had seconded it.
Right.
Yeah, so,
We were missing. I
Okay.
made it.
yeah, you did. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and
Abstain.
John abstained.
Yeah.
Okay,
301.
good, all right,
Thank you.
perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, that takes care of those. And I'm assuming there are still some that have not turned in their permits and the licenses yet. We'll have more on the next meeting perhaps?
Yes, there's a couple that are slow.
Yeah, so, and they still have a little time, so that's fine.
Yep.
They know it's the routine thing to do. Okay. Nothing else up there. Anything under pending items? Basically our green community grant issue.
No.
Have we
still-
gotten everything off to state so that they can work on it?
I believe so.
Because I know the library's waiting to see, they have to use this other grant that they
Yeah.
got, so
Yeah.
they're getting a little nervous about
Yeah.
when they might get approval.
Okay.
All right, so with that, we have our regular meeting already on the 19th, but as we've said tonight, on the 12th Zoom meeting, we'll get that set up, and as far as I know, unless I tell you otherwise, we'll meet just from home rather than everybody having to come into town to do that, and then on the 14th, we'll meet in person at Town Hall. Okay, so with that,
Motion to adjourn?
yes, I'll have a motion to adjourn, and second, John and Dan, and we are adjourned at 9:06. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
So that red light goes out.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.